How do you find making content in that environment?
From a content creator perspective, I haven't seen a single excellent video content creator share the sentiment that Web3 gaming is dead.
In today's episode, we brought together some of the top crypto gaming creators to dive deep into the current state of Web3 gaming. Is it dead or just evolving? We explore what needs to happen for Web3 gaming to truly grow, how it has developed over time, and what's still missing.
As the games get better, as we get our first initial hits, I have a strong belief that we'll then see some of the biggest hitters from the Web 2 come into it. And I think that's the standard we have to see and set for ourselves.
You got to either have really high conversion rate, whether it be sales or community. So the one thing I'd say, double down on networking and building those relationships.
It's way harder, it's way more competitive. Now the creators have to get better, investors have to become smarter.
I think people just don't welcome the challenge enough either.
I always say this whenever there's a slowdown in the space, this is when legends are born.
Welcome back to the Lock-In Log-Off podcast, where I speak to builders, creators, and investors to understand how they spotted the opportunity and how they navigated their way to success. We're back with another roundtable, this time with some of the biggest creators in Web3 gaming, to discuss if Web3 gaming is dead and what needs to be improved, everything from the creators' perspective this time around. We're joined by Hype Teddy, Spike, and Cairo. And yeah, I wanted to kick it off a little bit around where we see the industry right now. Obviously, sentiment on the timeline. Everyone thinks Web3 gaming is dead. I think from this week, a lot of us can understand that that is not the case. But starting with you, Cairo, how are you feeling around where Web3 gaming is at right now?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely in a lull. I don't know. It's hard to tell sometimes because, just last month we were in Vegas for $250,000 parallel tournament, and everyone was excited to be there. It was a good time. And then 3 months prior to that, there was a $600,000 tournament for Off the Grid. So in terms of prize pools for events, they're still around and they're still pretty large. And then I'm still waking up every day. I'm still playing Web3 games. I'm still competing in events. And, I see so many other people doing it too. So, the timeline likes to be all doom and gloom, but for me, I've been here since 21 and lived through how terrible 2022 and 2023 was. So, if we go into a period like this for an extended time, it's kind of whatever for me. I'm going to be doing the same thing. And hopefully we just see some winners rise to the top over the long term.
Yeah, I think it's a very interesting thing. The timeline's doom and gloom, I think, primarily because of they take their sentiment based on digital assets performance more than actual game performance. But Spike, you obviously run a big community, you have a lot of gamers in there. Have you found the sentiment that you see on the timeline go to your community, or are the gamers still there look, the games haven't changed, the games are, if anything, improving? How does the sentiment feel in your community compared to the timeline?
Yeah, to add on top of what you said, there's different segments in Web3. You have the gamers, we have the traders, we have the questers. What I have noticed is because sentiment's down overall, the traders and some of the questers aren't really showing up because they're here to get the bag. Yeah. And, that's great. But right now, what we're waiting for on the gaming side is we want game launches, we want updates, we want TGEs. Games wait for better sentiment. But just this past week, it was spring break, and this is peak gaming time. A lot of games in Web 2 Web 3 are launching. So we saw, Space Nation TGE, Raven Quest just had a global release. We saw 2 or 3 TGEs like Rumble Kong. So it's funny. It's a lot of the builders that are here just mostly to farm rewards and get deals. They're all right, I'm gone because it's shallow waters. But honestly, it's a good time. On the gaming side, I've seen more growth than I had been because there's less noise, and the games have been better. Me and Cairo were here since 2021. We were in the mini clip days. We were oh man, let's play this dope browser game. We couldn't even play together if we wanted to back then. We did have Axiom, we can 1v1, but there wasn't MMOs, there wasn't AA, AAA shooters. So it's honestly on the uphill. It's on the rise. But I will say I still feel we're very early. But it's still a good time to build community and explore all the opportunities there is in Web3.
Yeah, I think for the builders and for those who are here for the long term, I think, especially if you've been here since 2021, you kind of get to feel you can't be that upset because it's way better than it was back then. But Teddy, obviously coming from the Web 2 world and everything on that front, now into Web 3 world, and we're starting to see the games become better. How do you find the relationship between the timeline in terms of the sentiments with the digital asset side of things and the quality of games, but also like making content in that environment, because Twitter is where it lives. And that tends to be an environment that cares heavily around the digital assets more than the gaming. How have you found that relationship doing the content on there?
Yep. I want to share my unique perspective because it comes with the bias of I'm a content creator, and I've been a content creator that explored the early YouTube and Twitch phenomena and also the esports and lifestyle phenomena. When I was a Call of Duty YouTuber for years, it's like there's a certain period within Call of Duty after the initial spike where it slows down, and then we're waiting for DLCs, then we're waiting for announcements. I was a GTA YouTuber for like 4 or 5 years, right? And GTA 5, we're still waiting for the next edition. So as a gamer who made content actively and was part of some of the biggest gaming communities in the world, you understand that there's hills and there's valleys. The only difference is in CT, because it's so much like an echo chamber. You only hear one voice at a time for weeks on end, until there's like a major breakout. But what I can say is, from a content creator perspective, I haven't seen a single, I would say, excellent video content creator share the sentiment that Web3 gaming is dead. Why? Because what do creators inherently do when there is a downturn or a downtrend? We find new ways of making content on the same games that we love, right? Kairo's played OTG and done like 20 different challenges now, and has managed to take this game, which is a extraction battle royale type game, and create his own unique spin on it with his content, whether he's live streaming, whether he's clipping that content, or whether he's doing unique solo videos. That's what we're here to do, and that's why we're here to help proliferate this space, because regardless of what the games or the devs are thinking, it's up to the content creators to band together. And again, just looking at GTA, I started off making glitching content for that. And I'll bring this back to Web3. I started off making glitching content, then moved into funny moments content, then moved into playing with the maps and the UGC from what the community was building. All these games go through this progression, and the creators have to be the ones to actually initiate it so that the communities know exactly what to do. Going back to Web3, what Spike said, the farmers aren't farming for their games and play to airdrops anymore. However, there's going to be a small percentage of those farmers that are like, well, this wasn't a sustainable model for me to interact in the ecosystem anyway. Let me do what Spike, Cairo, or Teddy's doing and start creating content, because there's more longevity in that. Let me go from just being a passive farmer and someone who's always critical on games to having a different outlook or perspective and pushing through with positivity and creativity and adding to the space, rather than just being someone who gives critical analyses. And for the most part, again, it just shadows out, because when someone makes that hit piece of content, everyone's like, oh, we are so back again. So that's how I feel.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I think doing that transition, like during this period, for those that were previously farmers, like the best opportunity comes down to like, how do you make the most of this dwell? And I think we've seen some of the best creators come from those who were there when it was very quiet. YP obviously came from when the market was very quiet. Same with you, Spike. Same with you, Cry. Like, it's when it's really quiet, the ones that are just consistent. Then the Web3 gaming boom comes back, and then they ride that wave up. So those who are interested in that world and doing that whole transition, I think it would be a net positive for the space, going from being a farmer and just being critical and wanting your airdrops to become a better creator. But on the creator side of things, how do you guys feel around the creator landscape right now? I think my opinion is very much like, we have some amazing creators in the space, and including all you three. I think there's a lot that we can still do in terms of pushing the space forward. And there's a responsibility on the creators just as much as the games to help push the space forward. Starting with you, Kara, how do you feel the landscape is right now in terms of the creator landscape in itself, and where we can kind of push that forward?
Yeah, no, I mean, we've seen creators improve a lot since I joined. And I definitely think that at the moment, everybody just needs to be trying to raise the bar. Everybody has a lot of room to improve, and we all need to get better if we want the space to survive. So, yeah, I think, we've seen more and more creators start to take interest. I think Spike has done a pretty incredible job of bringing in people from the Web2 side of things to get involved. And then also, shout out the Wayfinders. But, dude, I've been seeing small creators pop up and have really good content. So, you guys have Steffi, and her content has been, really fucking good. She edits all of her stuff herself. It's, on par with what everyone else is creating right now, if not better. And she's only got like 5,000 followers on Twitter, and like so seeing people like that pop up and come up during the lull period that we have right now, I think that's a really good sign. And then I think that, like, we've seen people. I mean, I go back and look at my content that I was making in 2021 and 2022 compared to what I make now, and still I have a lot of room to grow, but it's way better. And I personally just have goals to like move beyond Twitter. I think that we kind of sit in our bubble and we talk to the same people all the time. And sure, new people come in, but we need to be trying to do more of like the B2C, like getting the consumers, like involving them in the space, getting them to come in and enjoy what we are doing, like in every other industry. Like Web2 games, you have to bring in other people to play the games, and same thing with Web3, and we're not doing enough of that right now. So really want to like focus more on like branching out into YouTube and figuring out how, and TikTok, and figuring out how we can like use the other social media platforms and actually grow on them, even though it's so hard in our niche. Because like there's a ceiling with Web3 content, and right now it's like you're on Twitter, you can grow on Twitter, but if you try to expand out, it's really hard, and there's only so big of an audience right now. So we just need to figure out a way to do like non-native Web3 content and just like Trojan horse or disguise that content and bring new people in.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I think that is something we've needed to see more of a transition of, is like we're starting to see it in the whole space. I feel like people are starting to branch out of the Twitter timeline in gaming and not in gaming. But I think it's essential. Like I think we got so used to last bear market of just speaking to the same people, and the games weren't really good enough, so you kind of got used to that silo of Twitter. But we really do need to expand on that. Obviously, Spike, you have looked to expand on that, and like Kara says, you've brought in a lot of Web2 side of things. What have you found is most impactful to attract those people to the Web3 world? What is the strategy that actually makes sense for them? Maybe it's the money, maybe it's not. Like if it is, like there's an element to like this, there is a lot of money in this industry, so we should use the levers that we have to attract them, and then it's on the game's qualities to like retain them. But yeah, how do you see that side of things?
So I have some interest alpha. So I got started in 2021, very passionate from the start on onboarding gamers. I peaked in 2023. Twitter is great, but like I feel like everyone's known me since then. I've pretty much worked with all the chains, all the games, helped support the creators. The unlock I figured out, and the big brand change I made with Wayfinders a year ago was like, all right, we have people in Web 2 that will play Web3 games, but they do little to onboard, with the exception of Teddy, he's a GOAT, and Cairo, who's fucking just going off and doing all kinds of crazy challenges. Like it's just so engaging. And then 3, people don't leave Twitter. So the difficulty is, like, one thing I realized is I was like actively trying to bring my community from Twitter to like Twitch, and I spent like 6 months trying to figure it out. I've tried to push content, TikTok. The unlock I figured out was that I'm not onboarding gamers anymore. I onboard them to my community Wayfinders. I show them how fun and engaging Web3 is, and then they come with us, just as if you're like a variety creator. So the idea is we make it all about the community. We're always trying to figure out, how can we activate people, give them movement, like someone like Steffi. Like she makes amazing content. That has not changed. I do not educate her, mentor her. I just like, hey, look, we're going to use our community as a launch pad, as a platform for different people. So we always have to collaborate with different guilds, different creators. And the idea is the best marketing you can do in guerrilla style is like when someone joins you, if they have movement, people know that. And again, it's not like we're doing anything but like sharing that distribution, sharing that community. So we've been doing cool stuff with, Hype Unit, they go to our events. And the idea is right now, it isn't trying to figure out how to like, onboard people, but like make them community members. Because what we do different is like, I don't want to be an esports team. I don't want to build a creator team. I want to be that bridge to Web3. And rather than like, let's say like a Team Liquid or Cloud9 getting in with Web3, going from like 0 to 1, because, they have all these fans, but they don't know how to do Web3. When they have a cool community like Wayfinders or creators like us, we're able to help them get 0 to 2. So the strategy should be like, how do we show how cool it is to be in San Francisco for GDC, creating this content, hanging out with these people? Like I was just talking to maybe this morning, I was just strategizing like, what we need to do is like, show people like the million streamers that like, we're playing crypto games, but like, look at where we're at, like I'm a washed, gamer, I'm a 34-year-old dad, I'm playing Roblox with kids most of the time. I play whatever game against Cairo and I'm getting like wrecked on, but like, bro, like, you could be the next Tim the Tap Man, Ninja, Scump. because how early you are.
It's a good point that we're doing like what all the Web2 gamers want to do, which is travel the world for games.
Yeah.
And they're sitting in a saturated pool, and we're sitting in something that's early, and like you have a real chance at like achieving that. I mean, like before for like traditional Web2 like esports or whatever, to get to travel to a lot of events is like pretty rare. Like,
Yeah, and even then it's like slummy in a way. Like you just go in there and it's like on like a very
you're paying everything out of pocket, and everything else, and it's just it's a lot different here. Like you get to travel all around, do what you love, and it's all for video games, and it's because it's a new segment of the industry.
That's a great point. That's actually part of why I started the podcast, was like to spotlight the opportunities that aren't just like trading. And I think like there's a lot of people, like gaming is a huge industry now and so many people love it. Like you ask most kids these days and they want to be creators and they want to do that. Web3 has such a unique opportunity to be able to do that and basically fast track the opportunities that come alongside that. But Teddy, you obviously come from the Web2 world into the Web3 side of things. How do you think we make it look more attractive for more people to do that move and get involved with this industry and see it more as an opportunity than they see it as like as so-called like you're going into an industry that has just low quality games and I guess scams as such?
I'm glad you asked that question because I already had the answer rehearsed in my head as the other guys were speaking. You guys cooked, by the way. Cairo touched upon it and so did Spike, and we've already seen small instances of exactly what I'm about to mention. And it's a certain archetype. What makes this place attractive, right? We're talking broader CT. There's a creator that's already doing it, who came from gaming, who is in Web3 gaming, but then moved over to the trenches. His name's Orangey. What exactly is he doing? He became one of the biggest creators in that trench sort of niche, but then he decided, let me share my lifestyle too. That lifestyle was the same thing that helped proliferate esports to where it was, right? Nadeshot said it best. We were scrimming 8 hours a day. We would also be vlogging. And then when we got off that, we'd be making a gaming video and then go into bed. And it's like sharing your lifestyle and exactly, as Cairo said, all the things that, all the activations you're part of, all the things you have access to, makes it so that it shows this space as one that's all inclusive, and it is willing to accept more people so long as they have talents or are willing to come in, explore the right way, tinker and add to the space. Again, when I came back to Web3, I had been previously in the last cycle flipping NFTs, doing a bit of marketing. When I came back, everyone was farming all these tickers, and I thought that was my calling because I had a massive Twitter account. Long behold, it took me only a month or two to figure out that wasn't the move. I need to do something that's pragmatic. I need to do something that's productive, and I need to do something that allows for me to stand out and gives me a unique edge. And that was exactly what I did in the latter end of my YouTube days, where I went from completely gaming in my mom's basement to being part of IRL vlogs, to sharing my lifestyle, to doing challenge videos, to really, challenging the status quo of what is content and what actually does my audience want to see. There's a huge light at the end of the tunnel for anyone who believes Web3 gaming is dead, and that's the evolution of the platform we're mainly creating content on, which is X. They are starting to shift towards more potency for content that has higher watch time. That's why Caleb Rebello's podcasts are all over my timeline, right? Like sometimes you might announce that there's a big founder coming on and we'll see the announcement, but more often than not, X will find a way to promote the actual podcast because there's more watch time, there's more user retention and engagement. And us as creators are starting to figure out, as Spike mentioned and as Kyra mentioned, we do want to explore other platforms, but the platform that we're on right now is starting to also want to become like those other platforms and reward creators that like being more creative, but challenging and actually helping them out by having users stay for longer. That's a problem with Web3 on the game side, but also on the creator side. How can we get users to stay longer? And for the most part, sometimes it means creating that parasocial relationship where you're sharing bits of your life that you usually wouldn't. The hardships, the struggle, the grind. It's not just GMing every morning and GMing back. It's not just supporting one another, but it's doing things that inspire one another. And if you're willing to do that, it doesn't matter if you're sitting in Nigeria, in the Philippines, and Indonesia, in South Africa, in England, wherever, you're going to have an opportunity in Web3. And I would say get started now, because people in Web2 are starting to see that, and they're already 5 to 6 to 10 years into making content. So when they come to this space, as long as they have the right on-ramp, they're going to flourish. But if you're in Web3 and you've been thinking, I should make content, or you're someone who your friends often say you should make content and not just partake in other people's content, start now, do it, and figure out ways to benefit your community, your friends, and inspire other people, and use the changes in the algorithm that reward higher engagement and watch time to your advantage. Now, on that, there's a cycle in every single social media. You guys remember the early days where when I started off YouTube, I made it big because I was providing information and news videos that were quicker than everyone else. And then I found out what clickbait was and opened Pandora's box, but I wasn't the only one, and there was 100 different clickbaiters in the community. But then that sort of slowed down, and we had to find out original ways to get people to watch without tricking them, and so on and so forth. And CT and Web3 gaming is going to go through that same cycle, in my opinion, of, here's the best play to earn game, guys. And then it's like, here's the best creators having fun playing these games. And then it's going to go back to, here's the best creators taking part in a massive tournament and sharing their lifestyle while playing this game. Same thing happened in NFTs. Everyone in 2021, 2022, hey guys, here's my top 5 NFT projects of the week. And then it turned into, that evolution of, how can we make the content better? How can we make it more rewarding? But looking directly at the platform that you're engaging in and pushing more buttons so that you're pressing the right combination and you have that high engagement and retention is what going to set people apart in the near future.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I think experimentation within the content, but also the side of showing more than just showing more about the journey, I think is actually a huge thing in modern day. I think outside of Web3, you see Web2 creators really make it when people get attached to their journey. It's like you saw them during their come up, like a lot of the favorite creators that you watched, like even in esports and stuff like that, you'd watch them in like those creator houses when they were like young, 18-year-olds, or they didn't have much money, and you're like, you got so attached to the journey by the time they made it. Like that's really what made people such diehard fans. Is like the reason I used to love Scum's content and like support Optic for like the years and years to come. And like I think people in the modern day care so much about other people's stories, and they fall in love with personalities. We see it in sports as well now, where people get more attached to individual athletes than they do teams. So I think there's a lot for creators to tap into that outside of just like the gameplay stuff, like show the opportunities that we get to travel and everything like that. Because I think that would actually attract lots of people from the Web 2 world to come to Web 3, is like not just the games, but the opportunity that lies within it. But on the whole Web 2 creators, people coming into Web 3, as the games get better, as we get our first initial hits, I have a strong belief that we'll then see some of the biggest hitters from like the Web 2 come into it. And I think that's the standard we have to see and set for ourselves of like, is the content on like from the Web 3 side of things, can it compete when the Web 2 people come? And obviously we'll always have an edge because we'll understand the industry better, but it's like, how do we compete with that? Kara, have you thought a lot into that side of things of like, when Web 2 comes in, like obviously we're starting to see already, like with Off the Grid, like a lot of these Web 2 creators are playing. Like, how do you see that for yourself and your own personal content?
Shout out to the sponsors of this podcast, one of the most anticipated TCG games in both Web 2 and Web 3 in Project O. If you're interested to give it a go, be sure to jump in the Discord. Shout out to the other sponsor of this episode, KGen, who's building one of the largest decentralized distribution networks. If you're keen to get involved, be sure to go to their website and grab yourself one of the POG SBTs.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that you're always thinking about. Like, especially with the preview of getting to see like creators come in through paid activations, you kind of get a glimpse of what it's going to be like whenever the adoption or whatever you want to call it happens. And it might start out as like a lot of paid content for these guys getting involved, but eventually there will be stuff that they want. They're naturally incentivized to get involved with Web 3.4. And I think that I personally have a unique situation at the moment because whenever these gamers come over or these creators come over, it's usually like for one of the new titles. And, just playing a lot of games, I'm usually like involved in those games by the time that they get to them. So whether it's like teaming up with them to play, to like show them the ropes, or competing in an event with them, I'm naturally already right there. I'm properly positioned to be able to tag along with content on those same topics. So, for me, it's good whenever those people get involved because I get to grow with it and I get to, I get audience crossover there. But yeah, I mean, the part in the back of my mind is always just saying, you better level up, you better up your game. Like you need to get better. Otherwise, you don't want to be one of the people that's left in the dust whenever people come over, and naturally people will get left in the dust as a lot more people come through. So yeah, it's always just improve, improve, improve. Make sure you're properly positioned, and try to welcome them with open arms, and make new relationships. Like it's insane to see like the aftermath of the whole like All Stars tournament and Off the Grid, and seeing all the people come through from the $600,000 tournament. Just like obviously a lot of them have the opinions of their own, and then you try to like show them a little bit more about the space and talk to them. Like I've gotten to make relationships with people that I grew up watching forever. And so it's incredible to see them interacting with the space, and hopefully more of it to come.
Yeah, I think it's a great thing. It's what we all want, right? That'll lead to like the Web3 adoption and everything like that. But it does come with that like competition and saturation. Like it will become like, I think complacency is a dangerous thing in the space, because like creators, you can make a lot more money here than you do in Web2. And then you'll come into that wealth, and then the complacency comes in, like, I managed to get that wealth doing this. And I think it's dangerous. You have to be on the tip of your toes, because like with any tech innovation, it gets to the point of saturation, and then it's highly competitive, and then it's really like who has the biggest edge. On your side, Spike, like how do you view that side of things with everything on the Web2 people coming in, but positioning your community to also capture that, be the place where, like when that Web2 community comes in, Wayfinders is kind of the place where they can go. How do you view that whole, like preparing for that situation?
I've always been someone who wanted to embrace it. Like since I got started, I'm like, bro, like I want esports to be part of Web3. I've done lots of grassroots tournaments. I've connected with different founders. But the idea is like really try to embrace that and position yourself accordingly. So Wayfinders isn't trying to be an esports team. It's esports is a money pit. I'm not really trying to be like, creating a creator org. For me, rather, I'd like to be that bridge. My hope and aspiration is not just to be someone who's like well known and established in the industry, but seeing someone, that has to prove himself with his content and also be a bridge to other individuals getting in. Like, when Logan Paul was getting into Pokemon, he was hitting up all the Pokemon people, because you got to win the trust and build the credibility. So they're gonna like want to get involved in Web3. They don't know how. I think it's best for individuals like us to position ourselves as ambassadors to be that guy to unlock that, because there's going to be cool, unique opportunities to work with different orgs, with different communities. And that's one thing we embrace. And the one way I've been able to position myself is like, I knew like, let's say, for example, we start advising a game and they become like the biggest esport. If you're an esports teams do not want to work with you. Like if Team Liquid is working with Valorant and they ran all the esports organizations or help connect to do bridges, like, bro, like that's my competitor. That's like a conflict of interest. So we've purposely like, yo, let's build a brand where we red pill everyone into onboarding people to Web3. And when people do get involved, we get like all excited. We recently had, we actually helped the Crew Esport founder, Cedric Grow, launch his NFT. And like, we were just blown away, like he hopped in our space. But we use our community to leverage those initiatives and to align incentives and just help grow the space. So I think if you're a creator, you really need to start considering how you're adding value, what's your USP, because there's a million people on Twitch. And like, what's the difference between, someone like Summit playing a game versus, your 50K Andy or your 50 viewer Andy, like it's the same game. Like it's just a different personality, but like, he built that brand associated with that. Again, huge is collaborations. I've seen, Cairo and Teddy work with traditional creators, build up that trust and credibility. So I think it's not like, if you can't beat them, join them. It's like, collaborate with them, utilize your brand as a trusted face in this industry who knows all the developers that we're meeting here, that knows all the movers, and figure out ways you can connect people and create these valuable experiences. Because at the end of the day, what the USP we should have is someone that can help nurture and foster those relationships, but also provide a unique experience no one else can, You worked with Jelly and Cop, like how else would have they been exposed to Web3? Like it doesn't exist, and that's a unique opportunity. Not just for them and getting them exposed to this industry at the infancy state, but also some of your partners. I know you worked with Forgotten Playland, and like the thought of having people with like golden play buttons and like millions of views and fans, like it's a unique thing. So I think for creators, you really got to think about how like what you're adding value, because like we're well past the days where you're inevitable for having that one partnership or that one brand deal or just being early. Like you got to either have like really high conversion rate, whether it be sales or community. So the one thing I'd say, double down on networking and building those relationships, grow a community that supports you, and then also like find ways to just push not just content, but like the impact you have for it. Like it's cool if you could build brand awareness and show how cool these games are and make dope montages, but like if it doesn't do anything to give these games movement or it's not bringing in unique partners, you really got to figure out what that USP is. And for us, it's always been like, yo, how do we just get more people in Web3? It's literally what I says over. It's not having X amount of views or impressions. For me, it's like, how many people can I bring into this game? How many people can I bring into this, Twitter space with Sergio Cunagüero and things like that? So again, trying to fill your niche, whether you're, a all-star player or a content phenom or just a community builder, like there's so much opportunity. Again, it's try to figure out what you can do differently and unique to the space that adds so much value that like you are inevitable. So the one thing I'd challenge those that are looking to get into content, you don't get inevitable by having that close partnership with like an AVAX or IMX or like a game having the Animoca brands or VC partnership. You make yourself inevitable to where all those opportunities just accelerate where you're going to go. So I challenge people, upgrade your content, really develop your games. Don't think there's any shortcuts. Like we're well past that from the 2021. Like you say you're going to launch a game and then you raise like $5 million. You're just a creator and you show up, you get paid, thousands of dollars. Now it's like, how can I do something that's so cool and different that either gets people excited about this space, that wants you to follow on this journey, or like want to join Web3? So that's what I'd have to say.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I think for some, they'll probably hate that transition now that you actually have to provide something super unique. But I think it's amazing for the whole industry for us to be going down that route. I think been speaking to a lot of founders this week, and I think it's just we're in a natural cleansing where it's like you now have to, like, the quality bar is just upped for everyone in the industry. It's
a meritocracy. Like, if it's not, what are we anyway? Like,
yeah, we needed it. It's like it has to happen. Like, the studios are now held way more accountable that they can't raise unless they have an actual product. And even when they do raise, it's way harder. It's way more competitive. Now the creators have to get better. Investors have to become smarter. So it's like, as a whole, we're improving massively. But Teddy, you obviously come from working a lot with the Web2 creator side of things. For people, both established creators already, but also ones that are growing, what do you see the biggest differences between Web2 and Web3 creators right now, and like how Web3 creators can, improve to then be able to compete with the Web2 people when they come in?
So right now, I would say some of the micro-influencers / medium-sized influencers in Web2 are completely outperforming Web3 creators. I would even throw myself in there when it comes to potentially content output, when it comes to collaborations, when it comes to consistency, right? You have to really want it. You can't just wake up one morning and have a meeting or call with Spike or play a video game with him and be like, okay, that's my in to fame and fortune. That's my in Web3. It's not going to work. You have to put in the flight hours to reach a certain level of mastery. We know that as a rule of thumb. Have you put in those flight hours? And I'm not just talking about playing the games. I'm talking about recording, streaming, and making content. The first time I met you, I stuck a vlog camera in your face and it was just like, it's Caleb Rebello. And I'm like, that might be annoying and obnoxious, but I've done it to about 50 other people during that day. And 10 of those people might really, really appreciate it and be like, this guy's amplifying my brand for absolutely free. Let me use his talents and, help give him the things that he needs and allow for him to get the things that I want to give him as well. It's like you have to have these mutual assurances. And in Web 2, people understand I'm making content regardless, right? I'm booting up my Twitch stream regardless of if Call of Duty is going to retweet me, and all these other small little things I've seen Web3 creators get stuck up on. Don't get caught up on whether someone's retweeting you, supporting you. Make the content, put in the consistency, get the flight hours down, because when that pocket of opportunity comes and you get to jump into an all-star tournament with the likes of Cairo and them, you'll have the chance to not only play in the tournament, but to make content. And then after you make the content, you can clip up the content, then you can publish the content, and then you can distribute it all while saying, I did this myself.
Yeah.
So imagine if I got a one-up from a company. Imagine if I got a one-up from another creator. Imagine if I got a one-up from a marketing team. And the more you do that, the more you're going through a creator's journey, understanding what it means to be autonomous in creating content, and also pleasing brands, pleasing community, and creating a fan base. In Web 2, because it's been around for so long, a lot of the creators have already learned how to do that. Even the 50 viewer Andys have realized how to do that but that's only because they've had 5 to 10 years to do it, right? They're just waiting for that one peak. They're waiting for that one trend jacking opportunity to do it. Web 3, we have shorter timelines, and the growth, Web 3 is a catalyst for growth for creators so long as they're engaging and trying new things. So what I will say is even the most mediocre creators in Web 2 right now are outperforming some of the best creators in Web 3 in terms of content quality and output. However, just looking at that and having a reflection, that means that Web 3 creators have a opportunity to, in a small amount of time, make it to the top of their niche and become pioneers in anything they're doing. And again, I want to end this with loads of hope. There's so many niches. You don't just have to be a community builder. You don't just have to be a streamer that's really good at games. You can do what Icy did and pivot from newsletters and short gaming videos to I'm doing the news every single day. There's inevitably going to be people that go from, their shit posting and calling out people and saying Web3 gaming is dead to being more progressive and being more creative and being like, I'm going to turn this into a drama segment where I actually, this happens in every single space, right? Every single space, there's commentary channels, there's funny moments, there's the esports stars, there's the community builders. You have to have this solid foundation of like 10 to 20 different archetypes for the space to then move up and for the quality to rise. And that's what we're looking for in Web3. And there's a handful of those people here right now, but we need more peers to stand alongside us for the quality to then push up. Just because there's one or two people who are basically, like unicorns that pop up out of nowhere, just because, there's a Caleb Rebello. You need that supporting arm. You need someone that does, you do the serious talks. Now you're doing more casual ones with us. However, there's different types of podcasts. Yeah. There's different forms of podcasts. And I could say that this is the evolution of what was now are becoming a little bit more stale Twitter spaces. You're like, let me take this to the next level. New media. Now you have the opportunities of people doing the same thing, but clipping your content and providing a whole different form of media on different platforms as well. So that evolution is happening right now. Whether people want to take part in it is totally up to them. It's just, you can't look at us and be like, I want what he has. You have to go through that creator journey yourself, just like the Web 2 people did. Again, just ending it on a silver lining, you can do it in a shorter time span in Web 3 because it's a catalyst for growth. So use this as your playground to try and dare to be better.
1 second. I have to talk to you guys about how many experiences of like Web3 creators do you think their first impression of Teddy is him coming up and sticking a vlog?
That's when I was like, I clocked. I was like, this guy is a killer. I've honestly like never bumped into him when he's not filming. And I was like, that says a lot. Like I've not seen. And I was like, after that, I was like, yeah, this guy's gonna do something.
But here's the thing: there's 50 creators in a room. 2 of them are creating a vlog, or let's say 10 of them are creating a vlog. But 5 of them are creating a vlog and supplementary content, and 2 of them are creating a vlog, supplementary content, and doing a whole series on its side, on its own. And I'm just like, if even the smallest creators on Web3 are coming to events or are going on Twitter Spaces or have the same 24 hours in a day as me, and they're not utilizing it to create and to be creative and try different forms of media and types of content and to engage in the space in a manner that's more progressive, it's easy. Why should one of the bigger guys be outperforming one of the smaller guys? It should be the other way around.
Yeah.
It should be once you get to that spot. This guy's working with YGG, working with creators. Cairo's working with creators. He's doing his thing with YGG, but he's still outperforming some of the medium to smaller size creators in Web3 when they should be outperforming him when it comes to the content output side of things, because they want more. They want to be on that stage with him, but it's apparent that some people don't want it and some do, and the ones that do ended up in the room with Caleb Rebello. You know?
I think people just don't welcome the challenge enough either. Like for the last two topics we've talked about, like a lot of this, like with things becoming a meritocracy and like, you know, there's a lot more skill involved in like you have to hustle more. Like you have to like welcome the challenge of getting better. Like you have to be self-aware and like look at yourself and like realize like I look at my content and I know I'm not where I want to be. Like I know I'm not even close, and like I know I want to work harder to make things better. And then like if new big creators come in, like yeah, like I want to embrace them joining because I know that them bringing their audiences in will help our space grow. And like if you choose to reject that, like we're gonna die anyway. So like you just have to welcome the challenge in all aspects.
The one thing I want to say is like this is a good time to earn your stripes. I always say this whenever there's like a slowdown in the space. Like this is when legends are born. Like right now, I've actually seen more growth in terms of followers and opportunities with the market being where it's at. Because quite honestly, creators joining Web3 looking to make money or find opportunity, they're looking for the easy bag, as Teddy would say, right? So like if you get discouraged and stop, like you're missing the opportunity to build the most mind share, relationships, and network, because there's so much noise. You know, when OTG's popping up, all these like there's just so many people, it's hard to stand out. Like again, it's like the Twitch thing where it's like literally there's a million people all looking to do the same thing, create a career in gaming. Whereas like in Web3, like there was a tweet I saw from Nikki. I think she's from Singapore, but it's like, oh, last month there was 100 creators, now there's 50, now it feels like there's 20. So like in this industry, like you can literally probably name all the creators that are making content professionally and, you know, doing it like at that level like we are. So like without it, we do need more people to help uplift this space, but like literally like it sucks, you know, like me and Cairo, we were making content for free for 2 years, you know, and Axie. Like no one was making a bag until 2023. And like, yeah, some of the creators that came in closer to last year and like literally made a career in 6 months is like attractive. Maybe people saw that, but like literally like there isn't a better time than now to create content, build your brand, network. And if you do that, your life will be changed, but it's not going to be like I was last year. You know, there's these hills and valleys. But without a doubt, like I say, like this is the time legends are born. You know, people are showing up, you know, just creating nonstop content, creating, you know, some of the best gameplay challenges. Like when people do come, as it goes back up, they're looking for communities, they're looking for creators, they're looking for education. So again, this is the time that people not only should level up, but like double down. Like I feel like this is a time that I should be focused on making more content. I'm actually even looking at doing more vlogs and even live streams now, something I previously hadn't done, because again, focus on those relationships. And like what blows my mind too, it's very discouraging to stream like on X, which is a platform that Web3 lives on. That culture is different. Like people don't chat. Like there's so many people like they knew me because of my live stream. I'm like, wait, what? Like
Yeah, they're watching, but
they're watching. They just don't engage. So I'm like, holy crap. Yeah, I'm just gonna just throw that restream on and just like not worry about it. But like for the longest time, I'm like, oh, I should just play Web2 games on Twitch and then play Web3 on X. But now I'm thinking like, yo, I should be streaming on Abstract too, because like again, this is it's all about building mind share, building that relatability. You know, again, it's those relationships. It's that experience that, you know, you could take people along, you know, when you're talking about a cool new DeFi product or like Ledger, like a trust wallet, or you're playing games, or you're talking about, you know, industry insights. Like you really need to start building those outlets and just focus on distribution.
Yeah, I think there's one more topic I wanted to touch on before we close off, but kind of two things on this topic is like, one, there's a clear trend of like anyone who's doing well in this space from a content perspective is unique in one way. They're known for something. Something I was trying to do content for like ages in different ways, like written content. It wasn't really what I was like best at. Now I do the podcast and people are like, oh, he's the podcast guy. It's like, oh, Kara's the guy. It's like, don't look at people like Icy does his thing and Sam does all the spaces and he's known for that. I would say like, don't look at people and be like, oh, I want to be the next Kara. It's like, figure out what you're like, try ideate new ways to be identified in the space, because you'll get known for that style of content. And that's how you break through. I think there's so many thread writers, there's so many like basic gameplay creators and stuff like that. It's like, find something just completely unique in terms of a style of content and just iterate. And then the compound effect just happens. Like when I first started the podcast, it was slow and it was a lot of effort and like, there's so much coordination that went into it. And then like, 3-4 months later, it really helped a lot with like everyone knew me as like that style of content person, and then I could expand to vlogging, and then you can look to expand other things. But I think the best way to like speedrun it is to find the unique thing that you love doing, but like helps you stand out.
And the field's wide open, like Teddy was saying. We need so many more people, and there's so many more lanes.
The supply to demand is insane. Like the games need more creators, but there's not enough good creators out there. And then naturally we'll make each other better. And I think that's how we compete with Web 2. We need more people to not compete with, but like to push ourselves within this industry to elevate it. But before we kind of close off, I wanted to touch a little bit more on what you guys want to see more from like this studio perspective. One, in terms of relationships with creators. Two, in terms of quality of games and how they're evolving, but also like the relationship between how they're taking the feedback from creators and everything on that front. Because I think we see mixed approaches from studios. Some studios everyone loves and they're like, oh, they take on our feedback, they do all this. Other studios, some creators feel neglected. So yeah, I guess actually starting with you, Teddy, what would you like to see more of from the studio perspective to help enable creators?
I want to go to the studios. I want to be at the studios. I want to do the same dope shit that I did with the creative programs with EA, Activision, all these other people. I've been to Raven Studios, I've been to Infinity Ward, I've been to Sledgehammer, and I've been to Treyarch. And I was playing their games early, playing their DLCs early with all of my other peers and creators. And guess who was standing behind me? The people that made the games. You know, it's like, they don't have to see my content to get my feedback of what I think about the game, because my content is going to be curated to my audience to get high retention. So it may be a different watch to them. Either way, I'm trying to make a good video, but that feedback loop is kind of not as potent right now with influencers and creators as it should be, with the publishers, with the producers, and with the developers. It's very much so the developers do the developing, the marketing people work with KOL managers to get lists, and then the content gets shipped out. Whereas in traditional gaming, they've created robust creative programs that allow for multiple feedback loops and rounds from different levels of people. So you ask the celebrities that like your game what they think and what they're looking for and what their feedback is. You ask the core community and the people at game nights what they think. You ask the influencers and the gamers what they think, and different demographics and different styles of playing in different communities. You engage with all of them and have those feedback rounds. But I think it's just as important to do some of these things in real life and have more in real life activations with some of these creators, so you can get the unfiltered, raw feedback of exactly what's going on. So my main thing would be create robust creative programs that allow for your PR or comms or influencer managers to tap in and really help creators get what they want from that relationship, other than just monetization. That should be a given anyway when working with creators and taking, them using their time to give you a platform or to play your game and make content. But there's other things you can get from those creators that they're willing to give in terms of feedback, in terms of the way they feel about the game, in terms of ways that they could possibly create more content in the game, and so on and so forth. That right now is a very underutilized part when it comes to the Web3 studios and publishers. We need more of that, and we're here to lobby for it. And I'm sure you guys would agree as well.
Yeah, I think that's a great one. And I think we're going to start seeing more of that now that there's like large studios, they're getting them more traction, they have larger teams, and they're getting to that more professional standard. I think it's just the way that's leveling up. But Kara, I know you compete a lot in this space. So it's coming from a slightly different angle, I guess, from your perspective. Like, I'm sure it must get frustrating at times when certain games don't end up getting fixed in certain ways, especially when looking to compete. What are the main pain points you feel as a hyper-competitive player?
Oh man.
And you can be unfiltered.
Yeah,
Swear words out loud.
Trust me, I don't filter anyway. Yeah, that's tough, man. Because like I know that like for a game's perspective, like it's your baby. It's like what you it's like what you've been putting all your time into. You have a ton of people working on it, and like you guys have a vision. But at the end of the day, like the gamers are the ones playing it, and yeah, I always find it funny whenever I put like 1,000 hours into a game and then people don't listen to my feedback, and especially like I'm not just like a Randy just like putting 1,000 hours into a game for fun. Like I'm putting in 1,000 hours and I'm learning every like niche about the game that you possibly can find. And like if I find something wrong with your game and I'm like telling you it for 3 months, like yeah, I probably shouldn't get offended that things don't get fixed, but like if I've been like giving you feedback for 3 months and you still don't fix the thing that I've been telling you to fix, it makes me lose a little bit of hope. So yeah, I just think that like whenever you have people that are like constantly giving you feedback, listen to it, and if it's feedback that you're not finding like great or useful to you, help those people that are putting in those hours, like like teach them to give you the feedback that would be helpful to you. Yeah, because it's just tough. Like there's a lot of games that I've played that I've put a lot of hours into, and like the good thing about Web3 games is that like I have a direct line of contact to all the studios and the devs, and so like having that, being able to have those conversations with them and give them that feedback that's coming from like a hyper competitive niche, and it's not always just for me. It's like me and my peers of those players that are taking it really seriously. It's like, you know, let us help you or help us help you, and from that sense, just listen to our feedback, please.
Yeah, I think like they should see it like it's. Although I'm sure they're stressed and they're trying to get everything done, but like it's like a mutual thing. It's like it's amazing for the creators to have such a direct line, but they are just as lucky to have people who care so much to be able to help them to push it to the standards that then when they want to go to the Web2 audience, like it's in a position where the Web2 audience are going to be like, come on, man, like this is a clear issue within the game. So I think studios need to really appreciate the effort that creators are looking to put forward, because I think you don't always see this, especially like in Web2 as much, like that people like spend so much time to give that feedback. And I think it's a great point that you mentioned, is like educate the creators on what the feedback is that you want at this stage of development. It might not be all the creators like, oh, fix this bug. It might be the studio needs to do something else in order to progress, but let the creators know what that is.
I just want to add, touching on what Kyra said and going back to what I said, you have to have that relationship between the PR and comms people and the devs, and also that feedback loop between the gamers. Just because the three of us here or the four of us here have our KOL hats on doesn't mean we're giving the same feedback. I make like children's gaming content for the most part when I'm playing with YouTubers and I'm looking to make games fun and entertaining. Spike might be playing with like 250 people on a single night, so it's more of a community-based feedback and what the social aspects of the game can do. With Cairo, it's hyper-competitive. The one thing I've seen consistently in Web3 right now, which I know it's going to change and I'm hopeful it is people giving that feedback and it not, being reciprocated, and then them turning sour and saying, okay, well, there's only so many more times I can do this. Again, I'm hopeful that this will change, but the one thing that they need to understand is it's not just they need to educate the KOLs on what they want. They also need to educate themselves on how in traditional gaming, it took them 10 years to create this amazing internal and external feedback loop, and find ways to create that in Web3. And we have that opportunity right now. And it's the archetypes right in front of us. We just need to implement that into our phenomena and find ways to actually improve on the infrastructure that's already there as well.
100%.
Yeah, that's a great point. And then I guess from your perspective, Spike, how do you? Because like Teddy says, all of you guys have very different opinions on how you perceive needing feedback and providing that feedback. You're providing feedback in many cases for hundreds of people, condensed kind of through your channel. What would you like to see more from the studios to help you enable your community to grow, but also keep those that have come from Web2 happy?
Gotcha. I'll go a little bit tangent and then take my community take. So there's three things creators need, Of course, monetization, whether they're getting sponsorships, doing, Twitch subs, ads. Right now, Web3 has been like, you can't make a living as a streamer, as a YouTuber. There's not enough views to make money off of those traditional music. So sponsorships, that's, again, probably the smallest part for us right now because we're established. Second is access. We want to be able to talk to the teams, set up cool events, do great things. And the last is promotion. Creators need help getting their stuff in front of people. It's so easy to embed a Twitch stream on a website or like a launcher. There's pieces of content you put up where you're putting like clips for of the top plays of the week. So again, those are like the three things creators need help on. For me as a community building creator though, the biggest struggle I have is that the best builders in the space are the creators. And I feel like so many times we're locked out of opportunities. There's a huge tournament and someone might be creating content for months on end. He might have a huge community and not get invited to that. And it's that's so discouraging. Or I want to work with the game because I have a community of gamers that want to play high quality games. Maybe there's that agency or that block between that. And it's man, I can't do impactful things with them because someone's working with a marketing agency. Like I think developers should be working more with games, because if you're trying to build a community, the best community builders are the creators. So the one thing I hope and always look for is like, how can I build those relationships and try to like educate them to like activate people like us in meaningful, impactful ways that build that growth. Because a lot of times, like, I've had people tell me like, "Hey, why didn't you want to work with us?" I'm like, "What are you talking about? I never talked to you." It's like, "Oh yeah, so and so person, working with us said that you said no." And it's just like, man, like the space isn't moving forward because like they're not getting that support, they're not getting that feedback, and they're not getting those communities. So, if you are creating games, I'd encourage you to reach out to people directly. Like, I'll be honest, I know Teddy and Cairo, like, dude, we're like so locked in and invested in the industry. Like, just shoot us a DM. Like, we're gonna reply probably the next 24 hours. We might have all these followers, have a community, but like, we're here because of two things. One, we're passionate, and two, we're crazy because like we're having to deal with all this stuff. Me and Cairo were literally playing little pixel games for the last 4
Hell
years.
yeah.
There wasn't any OTGs, there wasn't any shooters. Like, we've literally clocked it and turned up every freaking day because we love this industry, we love this community. We know its potential to change the lives of the developers, the creators, the gamers, and we want to see it grow. So like, again, I would say, like, don't be afraid to reach out to creators and be like, yo, how can we do dope stuff together? Don't rely on.
We'd prefer that. Reach out to us directly. Don't hit up a marketing agency. Hit us up, bro.
Yeah, if you want to build community, the best community builders are like in this room right here. Featuring my boy Caleb, bringing people together, giving people valuable experiences and insights. So yeah, without a doubt, like that's probably my biggest burden. It's not even like trying to monetize. Like for us, it's like we need access, we need support. Like for me, like coming to GDC last year, I was like looking for partners to help like community get where it need to be. Now I'm like, who wants to equally invest in me and do like something cool like the Wolves Den or like, a huge social event? Like, because like we have all that experience, we have those resources, we have the knowledge. Because like, again, we spend all our time doing that day in, day out. And like, we want to do cool stuff to show how fun and rewarding these games are and bring people into Web3.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to finish it off, because I think the biggest thing is that creators need content to make it around, and like the studios like need to be able to provide that to them. And I think if we have a barrier with that in this industry, like that's it's this like the small, like the first barrier that we have to remove, because like it would open up so much opportunities for the games, but also the creators to be able to create content. And we need more of that within this industry. But yeah, thank you guys for taking the time out to come on. I think there's some invaluable insights for creators, devs, marketing agencies, everyone that's working within Web3 gaming to help push it forward. So yeah, appreciate you guys taking the time out, and hope all the viewers enjoyed the listen.